Some mysteries don't begin with a body. They begin with a phone call. In the early morning hours of August 9th, 2013, a 26-year-old man named Brandon Lawson vanished along a dark stretch of highway in Texas. No witnesses, no confirmed explanation. Only a haunting 911 call that investigators still debate to this day. Brandon was driving north on Highway 277 near Bronte, Texas. Sometime after midnight, his truck ran out of gas. Instead of waiting inside the vehicle, Brandon got out and called his brother, Kyle. He sounded panicked. He said someone was following him. Kyle told Brandon to stay where he was. He said he was on the way. But before Kyle could arrive, Brandon made another call, this time to 911. The call lasted only a few minutes. But what Brandon said during that call would confuse investigators for years. His voice sounded rushed, breathless, at times almost whispering. He told the dispatcher he was in trouble, that someone was chasing him, that he needed help immediately. Then suddenly the call ended. When Kyle arrived at the location Brandon described, he found Brandon's truck parked on the side of the road. The doors were closed. The keys were gone. Brandon was nowhere in sight. Law enforcement arrived shortly after. They searched the surrounding fields, the highway, and nearby areas. Nothing, no signs of a struggle, no blood, no footprints that led anywhere. Just an abandoned truck, and a man who had seemingly disappeared into the night. To this day, Brandon Lawson has never been officially found. And the question remains, what happened in the moments after that 911 call? The 911 call Brandon Lawson made that night has been analyzed for years. At first, it sounds like a man struggling to explain where he is. But the more people listen, the more disturbing it becomes. Brandon tells the dispatcher that he's been chased, that someone is after him. His words are rushed, at times, almost unintelligible. The dispatcher asks him to repeat himself, to slow down, but Brandon doesn't seem able to. He says he's hiding, that he's afraid to be seen. At one point, he lowers his voice, almost whispering, as if someone might hear him. Some listeners believe Brandon says, "There's one guy right here chasing me." Others hear something different. This is where the mystery deepens. The audio is unclear, and interpretations vary. Was Brandon truly being pursued, or was he experiencing something else entirely? Investigators never released the full audio publicly at first. Only partial recordings and transcripts circulated online, and each version told a slightly different story. What remains clear is this: Brandon believed he was in immediate danger. He wasn't joking, he wasn't calm, and he wasn't asking casual questions. He was asking for help. Then, without warning, the call cuts off. No goodbye, no explanation, just silence. Dispatchers attempted to call him back. There was no answer. Whatever Brandon saw, or believed he saw, it happened in the darkness, in the minutes after that call ended, and no one else was there to witness it. When the 911 call ended, authorities treated Brandon Lawson's disappearance as urgent. Local law enforcement began searching the area around Highway 277 almost immediately. They combed the roadside, the nearby fields, the surrounding terrain. Search teams moved through tall grass and uneven land, calling Brandon's name into the darkness. Nothing answered back. By morning, the search expanded. Canines were brought in. Helicopters scanned the area from above. Despite the scale of the operation, no clear trail emerged. Brandon's phone was later found near the roadway. It wasn't damaged, it wasn't hidden. It was simply there, but Brandon wasn't. His truck remained where his brother had found it. No signs of forced entry, no indication of a struggle. Investigators searched nearby structures, culverts, and waterways. Again, nothing. The lack of evidence only raised more questions. If Brandon had been chased, where were the footprints? If someone else had been involved, why was there no trace of them? And if Brandon had wandered off on his own, how did he disappear without leaving a path? As hours turned into days, hope began to fade. Search teams covered miles of land. Still, Brandon Lawson was never located. What should have been a straightforward search became something far more troubling. A man had vanished in a relatively open area, leaving behind only fragments of a story that refused to come together. As days passed with no sign of Brandon Lawson, investigators began reviewing every detail again. The focus returned to the 911 call. Different experts heard different things. Some believed Brandon was describing real people chasing him. Others thought his words suggested confusion or misinterpretation of what was happening around him. The problem was not a lack of theories. It was a lack of proof. No witnesses came forward. No surveillance footage existed in the area, and the terrain itself offered few answers. The land surrounding Highway 277 is vast but uneven. Tall grass, hidden dips, drainage areas that are easy to miss in the dark. Some suggested Brandon may have wandered farther than expected. Disoriented, trying to avoid something he believed was there. Others questioned whether someone else was involved. But without physical evidence, nothing could be confirmed. Investigators were careful with their words. They avoided assumptions. They avoided speculation. Because once speculation takes over, facts begin to disappear. And in Brandon's case, facts were already scarce. The mystery wasn't just what happened to him, it was why nothing added up. A man doesn't simply vanish in an open area without leaving something behind. Yet that is exactly what appeared to happen. Years have passed since Brandon Lawson vanished along Highway 277. Despite continued interest in the case, no definitive answers have emerged. Search efforts were eventually scaled back. Leads ran out and the investigation stalled. For Brandon's family, the uncertainty never ended. There was no closure, no confirmed explanation, only unanswered questions that followed them year after year. The 911 call remains the most haunting piece of evidence, a man clearly afraid, clearly asking for help. Yet whatever happened after that moment was never seen, recorded, or confirmed. Cases like Brandon Lawson's challenge the idea that every mystery can be solved. Sometimes the evidence simply stops. No final scene, no clear ending. Just a stretch of road, a silent field, and a story frozen in time. To this day, Brandon Lawson's disappearance remains unsolved. And until new evidence emerges, the truth of what happened that night will remain in the darkness.